Welcome back to another edition of Let's Talk About It. And today we're talking about keeping your technology current. How important is it?
Great topic, Sean. I think this is under addressed. If I was honest,
Most definitely.
people don't deal with this enough, and they think it's okay to have machines that are 6, 7, 8 years old, and they still function, they still work. We've literally had a couple of people still at this stage want to keep their Windows 7 just because it works so well and it's still functional and it's so there's I guess we can say three components, right? There's the servers. We still have people that have servers on site. There's the computers themselves, and then there's the software that run on all of these devices. So what does this mean? Keeping your technology current? Well, for us as the guys that are responsible to protect your environment and to manage your network, we're going to want to see a lot of things in place that make our job easier. So servers should have current warranties, right? Hardware warranties. Something goes wrong, you want to make sure you can get a replacement part.
And it's not just about making our job easier. It makes you more secure because companies release new hardware, they release updates to
Yeah,
software, and that's to
functionality.
yeah, and that's to protect you and close up any security holes that they've found.
Because frequently that's what it is, right? It's not just functionality in the software, it's also security. If there's a
Right.
hole that's been discovered, they're going to patch that up. And at a certain point, they just can't support every single version of the software they've ever created. At a certain point, they'll call it end of life. We're done with this. We're not going to be supporting this anytime soon. It's going to end. And
So
then
people just keep poking holes in it then, and they never get filled
well,
back
now
up.
they know, right? Because
Yeah,
now you've stated to the world that we're no longer dealing with security on that product. So
yeah.
now all the bad actors are going, great, let's start making stuff.
So
Um,
that's a super important part to keep it updated, and even the warranties on it. Like a lot of the warranties you get on the brand name, servers, workstations, a lot of them offer on-site support
right?
as part of the warranty, which is a big deal because the parts come to you
Yeah.
and quickly with somebody that's
To
going to
actually
replace
install
it.
them, it takes a
Mhm.
bit of the pressure off. But explain to people, why a warranty matters, because we've seen it where a machine is maybe only a year or two out of warranty, but when you go to get the part that you need, now it's no longer there because it's off warranty. Whereas when there's a warranty in place, they have to keep the parts available for all those servers that are in the
Right.
environment, in case you call them with something wrong, right? So it means that there's almost always the parts available, but they're going to be priority to the warranted people over you that don't have it.
And a lot of the components that you're using with respect to servers and whatnot, those aren't parts that you can just wander out to a store
No, you're not
and
going to
and
Best Buy to get
no
those.
and buy a replacement. So it's a very important part of your security and keeping your systems up and running so you keep your business up and
and,
running.
and and that's our job, right? Like that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep you up and running. We're trying to minimize the
Right.
downtime as much as possible. We're putting things in place that will protect these devices should something go wrong. But the warranty is by far the very first thing I think you need to do. And of course, that'll be the same for the computers. The actual desktops. Machines that are out of warranty or machines that are getting long in the tooth, we'll call it.
And
That's now become, I think, what, 5 years. Older
Yeah, and long in the tooth means slow. So it's impacting, your users' efficiency,
productivity.
and that's right. They'll simply be less productive. Systems don't cost what they used to either.
Agreed.
It's,
Agreed.
years ago they were extremely expensive to replace. Now they're not. So keeping current financially is really easier, and it has a huge impact on your productivity in business and
I
security.
cannot agree enough. I mean, imagine. Let's just do the math. You've got 50 people in your office. They're all they're all losing half an hour a week on productivity, right? Do the math on that. That's 25 hours a week they're losing times average salary, 20, $30. I don't know. You guys need to do the math for your own situation, but it doesn't take long to add up and cost you a lot of money each month
Yeah,
in lost time.
it makes sense to keep it current, and it's also generally more reliable as well when you do that. So you're not dealing with systems that are broken down.
I mean, we've never had anybody get a brand new machine installed and say, "Oh, it's taking forever for me to do this and taking for,"
Yeah,
they pretty
you
much.
you won't get complaints with that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and then software like the operating system, like
That's the
Windows,
last
of
component.
course Windows 11 is now out. That's an extremely important part of the entire puzzle, because that is one of the biggest security holes
Yeah,
if you're using something that is no longer compliant and being
agreed.
patched.
Yeah, yeah, because they're on it all day long, right? So they're on the
That's
web.
right.
We've mentioned this before, the code 8 factor, where people make mistakes and stuff. You want to make sure that that software is up to date and patched for both security and functionality. Sometimes we come across issues where that version of Windows, like we'll say 11, maybe is not compatible with your printer or your all-in-one, your scanners, your things like that. Unfortunately, there will be some upgrades that have to be done along the
Probably
way.
means you need to replace those, but for good reasons, for for security and operational reasons.
And the other thing is that, as the big players, we'll call them, like Microsoft and HP and Dell, Symantec, all the bigger players, as they're upgrading their security, some of the stuff stops working, right? So perfect example is the scan to email components. Microsoft just will not support you connecting to their mail server to send stuff on behalf of the scanner if it's not compliant to a TLS
Right.
standard or things like that. And we see this a lot where, yes, that all-in-one is wonderful, it still functions, but it's 10, 12 years old, and
And it's a security risk.
Microsoft is saying that it's not secure enough to connect to our tenant.
Right.
So these things are real. They happen all the time.
That's one of the great things about subscription based software, like Microsoft 365 now, is it's always current. There's
Yeah,
no more dealing with old versions that
yeah.
have security holes in them. So it's important to look at your other software that you utilize as well. And like most of our programs, key software, they're regularly updated
Yeah,
on an
accounting
automated
software, right?
basis.
If you need to call them to get some help with the software and it's 5, 6 years old, they're not going to support that anymore. They're not
No.
going to help you, unfortunately. Yes, the software still functions,
Yeah.
but when you need help or when we need help to help you, we're not going to be able to call them. It's just no longer supported.
Help us help
Uh,
you.
that's part of the thing, right? Proactive as opposed to reactive. We always say that. The last thing I guess we should address is that, a lot of this older hardware, and we're still saying 5 years or younger, so it's not old, but it's relatively old. Um,
I'm old.
you're old for sure. This gray hair tells you that for sure. Is that we can save a lot of your older hardware by just doing some small upgrades. We can add memory modules to it to triple the memory. We can change the hard drives, old style hard drives with the actual functions, the actual moving parts inside. We can change those for what's called SSD, solid state drives. They're very cheap these days compared to the way they used to be,
And
and
mega fast.
the performance boost is such that it's
It
totally
is. It's night and day.
night and day. So if you have a machine that's on the cusp and it should be saved, there's ways to do that with a very simple investment. It doesn't need to cost a lot.
Right.
But the main thing here is hardware and software needs to be up to date. It needs to be legal. We're still seeing people that have illegal software. The little disclaimer in
Yes.
the corner saying this Windows is not legit.
You don't want to get caught with that. It's not worth the risk, and also like all of that is now quite inexpensive, so it's absolutely not worth the risk of
there's no
getting caught.
reason to not have all that
No,
stuff up to
not at
date
all.
any longer. So I guess that's it for our little rant on keeping our technology current.
So keep yours current, everyone.
Please go out and buy new stuff. And we have no affiliation with anyone. We're not getting any kickbacks for this.
No.
We just want to make sure that you guys are up to date. So thanks for joining us. We hope we brought some value to your day today, and we hope to see you next time.
Post your questions and comments below, and make sure you subscribe to see more of our shows.